missing only 2 people. We are missing somebody from BITS, also somebody from Grant's office. Otherwise, the rest of us are all here. We have a program which should have been maybe printed, but since power has gone off, we can't print. So we should have, by this time, we should have registered. Then we shall have a prayer, we shall have introductions, presentation on as to why we are here, the EPICA project, maybe some questions and answers, and then we shall have a break, and then we shall have a presentation on the experiences on the EPICA e-portfolio. There are some colleagues of ours who have experienced this e-portfolio. We shall, of course, for people who are here for the first time, we shall be able to tell ourselves what the e-portfolio thing is in the introduction to the presentation of EPICA. Then we shall have some questions and answers or session to interact. And then we shall have a presentation on the e-portfolio and open badge maturity matrix. And there is a survey that we are required to fill in to show whether Makerere University is mature enough for the e-portfolio that we are talking about. Well, to show at what level we are as Makerere University. And that's why we invited a mixture of people here. So we invited people from DICTS, those who are in charge of our ICT systems. We invited our students. We invited people from management. We invited lecturers, academics. Then the project coordinators. So that is the program that we are having here today. We are supposed to end with a lunch, and then we go away and go and do other things. So it is a half-day workshop, which we need this workshop to be quite interactive, so that we can be able to get all the information that we need, that we as a project and you as participants that you need. So without wasting much time, I don't know whether there's an amendment that we will make on this program. Do we adopt the agenda, this agenda?
I propose we adopt it.
Okay. So, registration, I think, has been going on, and we shall request somebody to pray for us. Any person who is volunteering to pray for us.
Okay, let's someone say.
Okay.
Yeah, Lord, we thank you for this time. We thank you that you brought us here together for this purpose, and we pray for those who are still on their way, so you come and help them make time. We pray that you guide us in all these declarations for the good of University and as well, and the entire project. I pray this in the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen. Okay, prayer is done. So we want to go for introductions. I will start from here where I am. My name is Paul Muyinda Birevo. I am the Deputy Principal of the College of Education and External Studies, but also the coordinator of the EPICA project. Thank you very much for coming.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joshua Bateze. I am the EPICA project administrator.
Good morning. My name is Jonathan Kisito. I am a lecturer at courses Department of Computer Science. I also teach on the external program, Bachelor of Science External, and I'm also the ICT consultant on the EPICA.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name internal, I facilitate on people from external, and in this project, academic staff.
Good morning, colleagues. I'm Angel Jemina, coordinator of Bachelor of External Workday, and I'm an academic staff on this project.
Good morning. I'm Elisa Geoffrey, Systems Administrator, IODEL, and I'm a lead student.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Rafi, and I'm an MIT student.
And I'm Jessica Aboti. I'm the director of the Institute of Open Distance and E-Learning.
Thank you so much, members, for those introductions. I wish you had name tags, therefore we would be able to refer to ourselves by our names. We want to go right away to the purpose as to why we are here and give a brief overview. Give you a brief overview of the EPICA project so that we can start on a clean plate as we deliberate on the maturity of the e-portfolio. Now, at the beginning of this year, we started implementing a project which we had been writing for the last 2 years called EPICA. EPICA is just simply a short form of a project with those so many words. Strategic partnerships for the co-design of an innovative and scalable e-portfolio ecosystem to improve the quality and visibility of skills. EPICA project is actually quite an innovative project. It brings together a number of business organizations, a number of universities in Africa and in Europe. And the reason why we thought about the EPICA project was simply because of the rate of unemployment that our graduates are having and what our employers are saying. Our employers are saying that we are producing students who do not have the invisible skills, or what we could call the 21st century skills. That yes, the graduates go out with their disciplinary professions, but then there are certain skills, even within their disciplinary profession, that they cannot be able to visibly show. Or that we are training students and they are not able to get the skills even within their disciplinary programs. So the EPICA project therefore focuses on skills development, it focuses on ensuring that students can be able to visualize, can be able to get the skills first of all, but can also be able to visualize those skills to whoever wants to see them at the end of the day. Some of the skills that we want students to come out with are skills of leadership, skills of collaboration, skills of teamwork, skills of multiculturalism, you know, those skills that are not taught in school, but the students should come out with them. And through using one approach, competence-based teaching and learning approach, it has been tested that those skills can be inadvertently created if we adopt competence-based teaching and learning approaches. And through using a system that can be able to record and be able to show the skills. This is the system we are calling the e-portfolio. Using that system and using competence-based approaches, we can be able to get a complete graduate, a graduate who can come out with skills that are needed out there and can be able to competently show those skills. So this project is funded by the European Commission, and it involves 3 universities in East Africa as partner universities that we work with. Makerere University is one of them. Maseno University, and then Open University of Tanzania. So those are the universities that are trying to, yeah. Then AVU is a kind of, yeah, it's also a university actually partnering in this partnership. So what is an e-portfolio therefore? Is where we start from. Yeah, before we put that letter E, we can be able to talk about portfolios. Each one of us has a portfolio of their own. The kind of work that you do, or the kind of tasks, the kind of roles that you do can be called your portfolio. Like you have heard of minister without portfolio, meaning that that minister does not have a particular task that he does. He can be able to do this task, be able to do the other task. So his portfolio is quite wide, you know. Now, as students also, we have our portfolio, which somebody could say be the status or your status or what you know and what you believe in, what you have attained. That's the portfolio. So as you are studying, every day you attain certain knowledge, certain skills. But where do you record these skills? Where do you record this knowledge? Where do you reflect upon these skills and knowledge? You have somewhere, maybe on a piece of paper where you've been writing. Today I was able to attend fundamental accounting principles. I learned the concept of reconciliation. And I realized reconciliation is very important. Even in life, you need to reconcile life with other things that you do in life. So that kind of reflection, where you put the things that you have done. If you have, for example, been presenting, like I'm presenting here, you can take a video like that and be able to put it somewhere to show that actually you were presenting. Another person can be able to see that you were presenting at that time. And you are able to speak, you're a good speaker. So when you go out there and say, I can be able to speak in front of people, say, but can you show us evidence? So kind of a portfolio is evidence of what you can do. But when now we add the term E, or the term electronic, it means that you are able to record these experiences of yours somewhere on a system, on a computer system, so that you can access it at any time. You can give access to other people to access it, and they look at it and show your skills. Usually we have been showing our skills and using a CV. You create a CV and you give it to somebody. Like human resource manager here knows very well that people show their skills through the CV. But again, through a CV, somebody can beautifully craft a CV for themselves, and they may not necessarily be to the task. So, through an e-portfolio system, which you are recording every day from your first year, you are recording things that you have been able to do. You've been able to mobilize students, maybe for a strike or for what, but of course you have to record only good things. Yeah, you've been able to mobilize students to do a particular community task, and you show pictures while you're in a Katanga, for example, doing some community work and so on. And everyone is seeing that you are doing this. So it means that when we employ you, you can do the same thing. Whereas on a CV, you can beautifully say, I am able to mobilize students, but you have not shown anything. So that is the e-portfolio. That's what an e-portfolio is. Now, an e-portfolio is related to some other thing called open badges or badges. Now, those of you who have been scouts, you know the concept of badges. A badge is given to you for after having accomplished something, or after somebody seeing that you are able to do this particular task, whether you went to school or not. For instance, if you go to Katwe, here in Kampala, you'll find somebody who is able to really design very beautiful maybe furniture, but he has never gone to school. They have never gone to school, but they have that skill, but they don't have any papers. And then you'll find people who have papers, but they cannot be able to do anything. Now, the difference between badges and certificates is that certificates are given after you have studied, whether you can be able to do or not. But badges are given to you on realization of what you are able to do. If somebody's, if you have sat in somebody's vehicle, and maybe you are flying from Soroti to Kampala every day, and you have really seen that this person is a driver, he has been a driver, he has never caused an accident and so on, you can give them a badge for that particular skill that they have, a good skill. So that's the badge. Now, in lifelong learning, now we are encouraging actually the provision of badges to communities that have never gone to school, but they are able to do a lot of, they are able to exhibit a lot of skills. So, relatedly, in e-portfolio also, badging is a very, very important concept, where you see that, yeah, this person can be able to do this, can be able to do this particular task, can be able to do this particular task. So that is the badging system. Now, in this exercise that we are going to do, at the end, in the survey, we are going to find out whether Makerere University has this kind of practice. Do we, as Makerere University, do we go out there in the community? For example, our Department of Adult and Community Education, do we go out there and see skills, recognize skills, recognize people who have attained certain things that they can do? Now, in some countries, when somebody accumulates so many badges, actually they can give them a formal qualification as a result of attaining so many badges. For us here in Uganda, of course, they can't give you a certificate if you can't speak English. But it's not all about speaking English. It's about, can you be able to do something? Because in those other countries where people don't speak English, they speak their local languages, but those are the national languages. So somebody has a skill X, skill Y, skill Z, they can be able to get the badge. So we just some key figures about the EPICA project. It is a 36-month project. We started in January 2018, and we shall go up to 2021. We shall go up to 2021, yes. It has 8 partners, 4 in Europe and 4 in Africa. And it has over 25 researchers, experts, and professionals who are involved. These are some of the partners in this consortium. The International Council for Distance Education being the lead agency. My Deutsche Mentor is in Spain. It's the one which developed the e-portfolio that we are trying to customize. They have used it in South America and Asia and so on, but now through this project we are bringing it in Africa to see how we can be able to customize it so that it can work for the African context. University of Catalonia, that's the Open University of Catalonia in Spain. ICWE, that is in Germany. Open University of Tanzania, Makerere University, Maseno University, then African Virtual University. Those are the members of the consortium. Now, as I said, the philosophy behind EPICA is to advocate for competence-based teaching and learning. And I'm sure that my professor here, Jessica, is very conversant with this kind of approach, being a guru in teaching, teacher training, competence-based approaches. We want to see how we can be able to redesign some curriculum so that we can adopt competence-based teaching. And as we are using that approach, students will be able to harness their skills. They will be able to harness skills. They will be able to document those skills. Go on. There will be challenges, of course. The challenge of integrating competence-based approach. There's quite a big challenge because this is not usually the approach that is very commonly available with us here in our universities. So we identify that as a big challenge. There's also a challenge of creating a bridge between higher education and the labor market. The labor market is always complaining we are training students who are not fit for the market, but they are not participating in the training of the students. When you go to the labor market and you go to certain organization want you to give us some placements for some students for internship, they say we don't want students. But again, they are the ones going to consume the products that we train. So that bridge there, we need to bridge it. We need to keep the students at the center of the process, meaning that we need to foster student-centered learning. That's the challenge also. Student-centered learning within our domain is still a challenge. We still believe in the teacher being the sage, the center. But then the world is demanding that if students have to get these skills, then they must take lead. If a student is taking lead in a discussion forum, for example, they can gain leadership skills. If they're working together to accomplish activities, they can get cooperative skills or collaborative skills. So these are some of the challenges that this e-portfolio is trying to actually address, so that we can have a graduate who is a graduate who has a number of competencies. So the student is at the center stage. We want to bridge higher education and the labor market. The student gets at the center. The teachers and the universities are on the other side, and employers and companies on the other side. So we want the e-portfolio system to integrate these two people through the student. And the goals, therefore, each of these, the students has the goal of increasing connections with the labor market, being accredited for whatever skills they have, being recognized, and ensuring that they can be able to make their skills visible. The teacher, on the other hand, has the goal to implement innovative teaching, assessment, and evaluation methodologies. The universities have the goal of helping universities to standardize and make more transferable credentials and degrees. So the universities have to play a role in our communities to ensure that they can be able to identify skills from the people in Katwe. Yes, those guys in Katwe may not be professors, but they have a skill that they can come and teach to an engineering student in Makerere University. So how are these universities tapping into those hidden skills there? Can you be able to invite an artisan who is specialized in maybe some kind of special craft, to come to an engineering student and be able to teach them, even if they don't have, they are not professors, they have never even gone to school, but the student can learn something from them. Yeah. So the employers and companies need to identify the most reliable and suitable candidates. So these are the goals of each of these people that the e-portfolio can be able to bridge and bring in. The e-portfolio also, with the e-portfolio, we want to increase connections with the labor market, because the e-portfolio will be able to do skills analytics. When the student has been able to capture all those skills that they have gained, the e-portfolio is able to do an analytics to analyze those skills and be able to present to the employer the best candidate. So micro-credentials and badges, those are the ones we are talking about, because if a student has gained a skill and is able to do something, give them micro-credential badge to improve the visibility and trustability of that particular candidate. We want to empower, through this e-portfolio, we want to empower students at work, because it will be a powerful, easy to use and collaborative multimedia tool, this e-portfolio. So when Richard and Jamia come in to present, they'll be able to tell us, because they have been able to experience this e-portfolio that we want to adapt to our environment so that we can be able to gain all those goals. We want to support innovation in learning, learning innovation. This is a learning innovation. Should we continue teaching the way we learned, the way we were taught, the way our grandfathers were taught, the way our mothers and parents were taught? Of course, there are changes. Innovations are happening everywhere. And as usual, education also has to have the innovations. Innovations through introduction of this competence-based teaching and learning approaches, project-based learning, innovative thinking and collaborative work, peer group and external assessment, personalized learning and follow-up. Because the student is at the center stage and we need to see the student actually engaging with other students, learning with others, collaborating with their teachers, creating things and so on, having innovative approaches to work and so on through this e-portfolio system. Go on. We want to support mobility, definitely. Mobility is very important. When a student gains skills, the professional skills plus the transferable skills, those 21st century skills, their chances of being mobile and having employment, being employable across the globe is quite high. One of the skills, for example, that they talk about as being a very good skill is the multiculturalism. Your ability to be able to fit within different cultures, to be able to speak many languages, for example. It's a very, very good skill. To be able to collaborate, to be able, team leadership, teamwork, leadership skills, those very, very important skills that can enable students to transit from one country to another, from one job to another. So that kind of mobility is quite very important. And the e-portfolio system that we are trying to promote in this project is envisaging us attaining all those particular goals that we've talked about there. And so this is a brief overview about this e-portfolio system. Yeah, thank you. Did we say we'd have some questions? And, yeah, so we invite interactions about clarifications or, yeah, any clarifications and improvements that we may put in this, anything that's not clear. Yes, Gordon.
Yeah, thank you very much, Deputy Principal, for that wonderful presentation. I have just come to appreciate that EPICA directly appeals to my profession as an HR officer. Because today in the work of world, as employers, we continuously find it very hard to employ people, particularly graduates of just completed. Because they come with the knowledge from class, but then as employers we are looking at a number of things. One are the soft skills, and the other one that is very important now to us is the attitude. What is your attitude towards work, for example? If I'm to employ, for instance, Claire, how will she fit into our goals as an organization? You mentioned something about crafting CVs. It is a common thing that we're trying to fight as HR practitioners. Now, as they're all aware, a CV is a marketing tool. Why do people craft their CVs? There are various reasons. One, they are being crafty in a way. Because they lack the skills and competencies. So you need to craft something to present to the HR, and you'll be kind of convinced that yes, that person has the skills. From the work, he doesn't have. Now you must be asking yourselves, why do we interview people when they come? One is for you to confirm that you have what you put on paper. And that's when we shall catch you. Because the moment you come to our panel, we shall roast you up and down until you give up. You will fail to tell the lie. Yeah, so this e-portfolio is very important. And I want us to be as honest as possible when we are dealing with this e-portfolio. You must actually post what you are exactly are. You don't craft anything on the e-portfolio. That's very important. Because by telling lies, you'll be actually denying other people the opportunity to be employed, and even yourself. You've talked about a badge. A badge is a form of recognition and belonging. When you perform something, people appreciate and recognize it, and they give you a badge. So you belong to a particular society or community, which is very important. But as I conclude, it is what they call competence. Competence is a very important thing, but it's gained over time. You may go to a driving school in Kambocha, you will get the skills of driving. But when do you attain that competence? It is through experience. That's all I have to contribute for now. Thank you very much.
I want to add on something. When you're discussing about the e-portfolio, I realize that many times, like, I want to talk about teachers. Teachers do a great job in producing competent students all over the world. Now, in the case of Uganda, teachers teach all this time, but they don't have evidence. The evidence they have is that I have produced doctors. But, like, for example, the teachers in the science departments, like chemistry, biology, they always carry out practicals with students, but they don't have evidence. They haven't taken photos, they haven't taken video clips, and yet this kind of information can be shared actually with other teachers in another school that may not be having this kind of facilities. So most times, a lot has been done, but it hasn't been documented. I want to give an example of myself. I began documenting what I was doing in 2010, and I realized that when you document and post this somewhere on the web, someone can easily identify you because you have shown something you're doing in your community. They go back and what? Maybe in your country. So I think this e-portfolio survey and everything is really very good, because also the other thing is that for the students, they're going to be forced to have to do something in their communities to showcase, because you can't lie. You have to do something really, and then bring it on board, take a photo of it, take a short video clip, and showcase what you're doing. So I think this is going to be something, it's actually something very good for the students at the university and all over, because it actually will encourage them to what? To go ahead and do something real in their communities and take photos and post it somewhere. Thank you.
Once it's done. And I'm thinking about how Makerere operates right now. If we're going to transform both the teachers and the students so as to fit into this frame that we're coming up with, it will require a lot of work. And I'm just wondering how we can piggy bank on the training that is taking place right now, the pedagogical training that is taking place for they've started with the assistant lecturers. Because we, as Makerere, we've been talking about student-centered learning for the last nearly 10 years now, because in the current strategic plan, they were, one of the strategies was really that we move from teacher-centeredness to learner-centeredness. But perhaps very little headway has been made in that direction, because the curriculum, the students and the staff have not really been prepared to move that direction. Now when we add competence-based learning, that is another kettle of fish altogether. So I'm thinking that perhaps piggy banking on the current training would be one way in which we can ensure Makerere's readiness. Then the second issue I have is to do with, in one of those diagrams you presented the student at the center with all these different skills and then you have teachers on one end and the employers on the other. I think our biggest weakness as a university right now is effectively bringing in the employers. We do, maybe it varies, I shouldn't generalize, maybe in other colleges it's happening much more. But in our college, I think we have not done enough of that to really bring in the employers to participate. Yes, when we are drawing curricula, we have stakeholder meetings and we invite them and we have chats with them. But the process of teaching and learning, how much involvement is there of the employer? Because that is another thing that needs to happen to ensure Makerera's readiness to actually effectively utilize the e-portfolio. Otherwise, we'll end up with a great e-portfolio, but to use it might become limited if our readiness as a university is not ensured.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think most of these were actually suggestions and comments from the human resource manager. He was actually approving of the e-portfolio as one of the tools that can actually help in the recruitment process. Because people who craft CVs actually they are crafted. Yeah. Then Liz said that teachers do a great job, but they don't have evidence. So the e-portfolio is actually a very good tool of actually showing the evidence, bringing up that evidence. And also, to enable students learn on their own, for example, if a student opened up an e-portfolio of another student, is given access to an e-portfolio of another student, and they have been doing practicals and their video clips and so on, they can definitely be able to do that. And also it's a way of preserving knowledge, according to Liz. Some schools have very, very good teachers that are very good in conducting practicals. They leave. After they leave, the teachers that follow may not be as good. So if we have some of these e-portfolios that have been opened up, students can be able to watch, or even other teachers can be able to see how the other teachers are conducting or were conducting the practicals. So it's a good way of banking knowledge actually for people to be able to look at later on. Now Jessica is asking a number of questions. How can Makerere University use the e-portfolio, knowing very well that there are a number of initiatives that have been talked about, but no much step has been taken. With this e-portfolio, what we are trying to emphasize is kind of have pockets of excellence that can be understudied by other units. So for instance, if we say that our external students, some of the external students actually adopt the e-portfolio system right from year one. They are using the e-portfolio system in documenting. We can have that pocket of excellence going on, and at the end of the 4 years, a student actually has a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of evidence, as Lisa said, that they can be able to use. And once these students actually benefit from this wealth of knowledge, or from this e-portfolio, you will see other students and other universities taking up this initiative. So what we may not have to go with the entire university, but we will just go with a pocket, just a few students or a few courses, maybe a few programs or one program, and then go with that program, showcase the importance of the e-portfolio and the values of this e-portfolio, and then I think we shall then be able to have a following, the other people following, to from there. So we are not going to go with that bank. But the idea of actually piggy banking it in the current pedagogical training workshop is quite important. We could just go and make mention of what exists, what is out there. Just make mention. Some people might pick interest and say, what is this e-portfolio thing that is being talked about? The only thing is that the training that is going on maybe is quite packed. It's quite short, and but there is a section on education technology, I think. And within that section, we could be able to just maybe ask for 5 minutes just to talk about these kind of things, so that we just trigger people's minds. And later on, those who are interested can be able to follow. Yeah. Do you have any comments from our students?
Yeah. As a way of preserving knowledge, I feel this is going to enhance the learner's attitude towards school, because most of the students are in school, but they don't really have a reason. They don't know why they are in school, and that is evidenced by their actions, the way they conduct themselves in school, and so on. So if we can have this program part of the learning system, more of us as learners, we are going to find more reason to keep in school. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, that's a very important point. How is EPICA going to be integrated within the learning system? At the end of the day, when we have adopted this learning management, this e-portfolio, our learning management system, I'm happy that a representative from BICS has arrived. Our learning management system, which is based on Moodle, is supposed to have an e-portfolio arrangement in it. But I don't know how functional it is within the current Mwele. Do we have an e-portfolio system?
May not be functional. I think it can be arranged to be installed in.
Yeah, so it can be arranged to be installed in. So what we are thinking is that this e-portfolio system is also developed based on Moodle. And so once it is adopted and we have contextualized it, then we can integrate it within the learning management system, our learning management system. So at that time is when we can now bring it in. It's good that BICS is already now on board, and we are working with BICS to see how we can be able to integrate that technology, that e-portfolio with our learning management system. What are the implications and so on. So being part of the learning system is very important. And I'm happy that the BCom students with under the leadership of Richard Kajunga are busy actually on the learning management system. They are quite busy. They have been inducted there, and they get their things now from Mwele. Because even first years also, you would hear first year, I've just opened my account on Mwele. You know, our notes are on Mwele. So we are starting now to hear these kind of conversations from students. Just like you go to University of Cape Town, the question is it on Vula? Everyone will ask you, put it on Vula? Is it on Vula? Because Vula is their learning management system, and it's in everyone's vocabulary. I don't think there's anyone who even ends the day without talking about Vula. Is it on Vula? Have the results been loaded on Vula? No. Everything they talk about Vula. That's their learning management system. So we want also to get to an extent where the students are talking about, is it on Mwele? Have you visited Mwele? You know, are the results on Mwele? Have they been opened up in Mwele? That kind of system. So if that kind of talk starts, then even the e-portfolio now, people will easily go to the e-portfolio and put their things there and give access to possible employers. If somebody is applying for a job somewhere, can always provide in the application, you can visit my e-portfolio systems here. Yeah.
That response raises there's some other thought in my mind. As you may recall, we've come up with this strategy of training staff in different colleges and working with them to develop their courses. I think it would be nice to begin to build up interest in portfolios as well, so that as we do that training, then that aspect is catered for as well.
Yeah.
Because then you have a cohort of people who are developing courses, and as you grow their skills, in this area as well. Then it will not be seen as an appendage, because that is the other danger. If it is seen as an appendage, you can get rid of an appendix and still live.
Yes.
But if it is seen as part and parcel of the course, so when someone is building their own portfolios, but also encouraging the students to build their own portfolios, so that it's very well dovetailed. Appendages are difficult. That's why we have struggled in the university, because for a long time distance education was seen as an appendix.
It's a dovetail. I like the words that Professor is using. She has used so far two important terms: pig banking and dovetailing. Yeah, so this is a very good interaction, I think. Yeah.
Just one small question. The e-portfolio, is there an open source? I don't know that this is the expert here. Do you have an open source e-portfolio? Something. Because my fear, if we can create a space on Mwere, put in portfolio, but then if this person is going to do this from year one and then through their employment life, how much space can we have to accommodate? Whatever you do a video, you put that kind of thing. Or we have some cloud e-portfolio, something where probably we recommend that all of you must have an e-portfolio on this cloud something which is open source, so that even if you leave university, or you continue with your portfolio. Because if it is seated on our servers in here, and then it
clogs.
And then we have our issues when we are afraid to pay for whatever it is, then they have closed the whole thing. Then this fellow has an interview in the UK on Skype, and they're busy telling the other person, you can click on my portfolio there and see what I've been doing lately. So I don't know whether it's the cloud computing us, and then the open source something, which you can just maybe have a link on our in our Mwere something, so that there is click here, the portfolio, then we work in an environment where we know that even if our learner leaves or a staff member leaves to go and do whatever else, our portfolio is intact. So if a student goes into an organization to work, they continue building on their portfolio.
Yeah.
They continue building. So I don't know whether we have that provision.
That question was actually asked, and the response given was that there is a possibility that it's possible that after the student has completed, they can migrate off their e-portfolio to an open source place where they can host it. But it can also remain. It now depends on the IT staff to be able to ensure that it's like when you resign from Makerere, and if no one has removed your email address here, you continue having that email address. And I know very many people have left Makerere University like many years ago, but they still have their email addresses here. So, but the IT guys here can tell us. But according to my documenter, they said somebody can migrate off with there.
My documenter is open source, or there's a company?
No, this particular portfolio is not open source.
Oh, they are my documenter.
My documenter is the one who developed the e-portfolio that can be integrated within a Moodle learning management system. Yes.
Okay. But I think also what someone can use
But it is a very important question that we need to follow up and see exactly what if this thing has caught, you know, fire, and everyone is having their e-portfolio on the learning management system. So what's the, how can we be able to support? Yeah.
Because when first years alone, assuming they are to take it on, and then we know that materials are over, maybe 10, I don't know how many first years we have. If they adopt, and they, even themselves updating, they are just by the time they graduate and they are dumping videos and images and voice, whatever, and text and whatever. I mean, by the time the person graduates, I mean, they may reach a point and we say, first, the maximum you can upload here is this. And the one challenge I found actually, because on this Mwele, as I tell students to upload stuff, there's a point where they say you can't upload more than something MOPs, something like that. So there are all those limitations. So how do you restrict someone who is probably so active, they're all over the place, they have all these pictures, they want to show, they have where. And then you say, but now, capacity, now full. Delete some.
Actually, the challenge, one challenge that we have is that in the meantime, this particular application is not open source. It's not open, and it is hosted. It is hosted in the cloud. I think somewhere in the cloud. And so there is a funding model. This is kind of also a business. There is a funding model which is going to come after the project. Yes, after the project, because there's we are seeing as ourselves, we are seeing that this is something that is going to grow, and industry is going to adopt, and so on. So there is some kind of funding model in the sustainability plan, which we are looking at. That if you want space of so much, there is that contribution that you make. But for now, during the project time, the e-portfolio is still free. We can access as much as possible within the university. But after the project end, there is some kind of sustainability plan that has been put in place that we have to plan and see how we can be able to sustain it. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think it's also good practice. Like you say, like if I'm doing my stuff and I'm posting on the e-portfolio, I could do another backup and put it on Facebook, because most times you may be putting something very reasonable on the e-portfolio when your Facebook is not reflecting you. And most of the students, or most of us, have different things on Facebook. And when they're looking out for you, they look at your Facebook, they look at Twitter, they look at what you're actually doing, because you might have a different face this side and a smart face that side. So I think it will be also good practice for people who are using this to post some of their things and keep them on Facebook or other social media, because it reflects a whole you than when you have a different face. Thank you.
In fact, I've always gone to Facebook to find my pictures that I took some time back that are lost in the phone. But when I go to Facebook, I can be able to see all the memories of. But when I look at my camera on my phone, maybe the space was not there, and I deleted the pictures, and now I don't have the pictures yet. They are so memorable. But if I had put them on Facebook or somewhere, I get them there. So I think the need for some cloud storage somewhere is very important for this e-portfolio. Yeah, now the next item on the agenda is...
So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. In this EPICA project, me and Dr. Jamia. So we have been trained, because in the project was also roll out the competence-based teaching. And so it was the wise thing of the project managers that some lecturers be trained on, first of all, how you teach if you are going to use the e-portfolio system. And that's the thing we have been doing. That's what we're going to just talk about briefly. Then the course we did, there are mainly two things that they intended to teach us. One was competence-based learning approaches, because it was a 7 weeks course that we did. Then two, using the e-portfolio. And the methodology that they were using, most of the weeks actually were spent on teaching us competence-based teaching. And the e-portfolio itself was more or less mentioned probably in the last week, just a bit, how does it come in? So we did not do too much inside the portfolio, but I will show you still how, the little that he told us to do and how we did it. Then the little that we learned, at least we can identify competences. Because we have to now, during the course, we are being told that when you're defining learning outcomes, you should define them in terms of competences, not in terms of what your students should cover by the end of that topic. Because sometimes when we're being told traditional teaching, they are telling us that you look at what they are going to, what you are going to teach, and then put as the learning outcomes. So what we do usually, like in accounts, I would say students should learn how to balance their accounts. But now they are telling us that they should be able to account for funds. Now that one is a competence there. So we'll change the way we do our learning outcomes. They should be able to explain proper use of finances. That is a competence. So that now it's not move away from they should be able to balance whatever to now the competence. Then we also talk about the methodology of applying competence-based teaching. For example, we learned through challenges. When you are going to teach through the method, you have to give a challenge every week, which like maybe probably would be like tasks. Now, those challenges, as the learner does the challenges, they post on the what? Portfolio. Whatever they achieve. We have done this today, we have examined accounts, we have done this double entry accounts, they post on the portfolio. And then of course, how do you present competences? It can be through maybe pictures, videos, maybe text. Then how do you evaluate competences? Now the portfolio becomes an integral part of the assessment process. Because right now, our assessment is based on the coursework that we give and the final exam probably. But this approach, even the portfolio itself, is part of the assessment. So when I'm assessing you, because I've been progressively telling you to put things on the portfolio, at the end of that day, you should contribute a mark to your grade for me to know that you have achieved the competence. So then it is not enough for you to learn a skill, you have to show that skill, then I award you. And of course, at one point, we looked at the e-portfolio. So those are the two things that we did. Now, regarding how the portfolio look like, at least a little that we managed to do, at least there are basically two things that told us to do. Now, up here are headings. Okay, so the little that at least we had been told that time was how do you upload, do whatever you want to do with it. But I think the internet is the problem here. Maybe another thing which Jamila can show is the nature of the challenges that we were able. Yeah, that's an example of a challenge.
So like Richard has mentioned, we had 7 challenges, and they were weekly challenges, but we started with challenge 0, and actually challenge 0 was introducing us to all the aspects of e-portfolio we are going to go through. We started by coming up with our own definition of what competences are. That's the definition I came up with. Then I was supposed to specify competences required for my subject area, and here I was looking at principles of marketing, and I listed those ones as the most required competences students should be in position to show. Then there was a need to identify the methodology. I thought that problem-based learning was the best methodology strategy to use to enable students to develop the identified competences. And this is reflected in the activities the students were assigned to do, which required critical thinking, problem solving, and the others. Then the last one, this one is about the evaluation. Again, the evaluation strategy to use should be in position to base on the identified competences by the students. And here majorly we are using assessments, presentations, rubrics, and exams. And during this assessment, it it's necessary to award marks basing on the competences identified as students do their presentations, as they do their exams, as they participate in their groups. But also the other one is the e-portfolio, which was also the major source of evaluation, because for some presentations they could be recorded, and also the group discussions could also be recorded, and we award marks basing on how particular students have demonstrated their competences in that particular assessment. So as I said, this is a summary of the 7 challenges we did. But because of time, we are not going to go into all the 7 challenges. That's it, what we went through.
Can I ask Jamia a quick question?
Yes?
Have you begun to teach with that strategy? And
Not
what is-
yet,
and-
but
okay.
as we design now the activities, we come up with activities which will require students to present to these particular competences. Like Richard was saying, we no longer tell students maybe to explain how they can go about the accounting process, but how they can actually account for funds. So here I require students to come up with a marketing philosophy of a particular institution. So there I'm looking at the competencies. To identify a marketing problem in a
How
case study.
students are responding.
How students are responding.
Yeah, because our students come from school environments that do not focus on competencies. And so now when it comes to changing how you teach and how you assess and what you assess, requires a change in the mindset.
But at least now the kind of activities we are trying to come up with are problem-based activities. You go to an institution, give you an opportunity to visit an institution of your own choice, then we identify a problem in that institution and provide the best solutions to that particular problem. But like you said, we have to change the mindset, so we are slowly working on that as well.
I think that's how far we've gone with the e-portfolio.
So in my document, that is like the home page. Yeah, the home page, you talk about yourself, and then, of course, you have your... Pardon?
That's where you live.
Where? No.
That's where we started from.
There, I thought everything was found there. But in the instructions that were given, the materials were shown how to change that, those pictures. But those ones we found. So sometimes when you're meeting something first time, don't experiment a lot. So they just told us, upload your photo and talk about yourself. That's what they told us, up to that extent. Because we did not have many activities to upload at that time. And up here, you yourself, if you're a manager, if it's of the community, because this e-portfolio, it can be, if you're working, then inside the organization has a portfolio. If you're in the community, there's something should show. Manager, something should show in your portfolio. But you can change. I gave a public speech where. So if I go into create a story and I create a story, or write a title of my story, it could be that I gave a speech, then you talk about it, because it's competence, so give the title. And I have no story in there, because we were not told, we were just told how, but they never told us that now go and do it, because at that time we were just learning. But you can create your own story, depending on those many experiences, and then you place it somewhere. Then somewhere when you talk about, you can upload documents of different formats. But you can upload files in different formats, including just from a folder from your file. Now these other formats, these people know, at least I can identify YouTube, the others I think this is Google. Yeah, so from different formats. For me, all I brought were basically documents and I dumped them here. So within this system, when you create a story, you can refer to a picture, then link to, because you brought it. Say, look at this picture here, and then you keep showing. That's the little we did. That's what we just did. We did a short course. But we still have login details because they expect us, I think, after some time to do reading, and then we populate so that we can again help our fellow staff and our learners. So that is what we managed to study. So the system works indeed.
So thank you very much, Richard and Jamia. Do we have any questions to Richard or comment? So we shall explore this space for actually increasing our visibility as well, because we are tackling increasing visibility of our students. But what about us as the lecturers, as the professors in the university? Are we visible? Are we visible enough? That's
actually one of the things we studied actually was called digital identity. How do you create your digital identity for the learner and also for yourself? Because when a learner goes, for example, and has a very nice portfolio, then they pass interviews, then they mention, I was told by Professor Muinda. Hey, Professor Muinda, okay, let's check his digital identity. Because to produce such a person, for you who trained that one must have very big. I mean, when they type, you have no portfolio, you have no identity, don't appear anywhere. Not Facebook, not Twitter, not WhatsApp, not a portfolio. You are basically digitally absent. No blog. So we have to learn, and one of the modules we did was how do you create a digital identity. So whenever we get a chance, we shall share.
Okay, and indeed, when Liz was presenting here, she said she's doing all the things she's doing. I was telling her, I was asking her whether she's a globetrotter. But all that she's doing is because of her digital identity. People being able to identify you, and when people identify you, actually you get so many invitations here and there. Yeah. So it is important that we can also increase our digital identity.
This is what actually happened. Because I asked the person, you are blind. How could you trust me to come all the way to do this presentation on inclusive education? Then they sent an email to many of us in Africa. It's only me who replied. So one of the officers in the organization googled my name, Elizabeth Rabu, and then they got information about me. So then we were able to say, oh, she did this project for the blind, enjoying school, and that's what we are looking for. That's how much we identified.
Yeah, because you are digitally identified. Yeah. Yeah. So our next item on the agenda, before we go to the last one, is now an item on trying to find out how mature are we as Makerere University. How far are we in as far as e-portfolio is concerned, and in far as having maybe giving out badges or recognitions to the community, to those who have achieved. How far are we? So we are going, there is a survey, there's a questionnaire which has so many words, so many, so many variables that we are supposed to look at. But before we look at that survey, which is supposed to extract our readiness, our maturity in terms of the e-portfolio, we want first to understand these particular concepts. We have first of all looked at what an e-portfolio is. Already we've looked at it, and the aim is promotion of inclusivity, as we have already said. We have already defined it, and we say it's a set of indicators related to the implementation of e-portfolio and opening badges. So the matrix that we are going to look at will have the indicators that we can be able to look at and gauge ourselves how far we are in as far as the e-portfolio systems or e-portfolio understanding and open badging is concerned. So the functions of this maturity matrix will be to provide a tool to facilitate the dialogue with practitioners, leaders in education and decision makers. And that's why we decided to mix up ourselves so that we can then be able to eke out our maturity in as far as the e-portfolio system is concerned. It can also be used to promote engagement in dialogue between academic staff and the learning community. I found out that the things that you have to do in order for you to be able to have what we call a transformative pedagogy So I realized at the end, one of the columns there showing us what we need to do to be able to call ourselves, or to be able to regard ourselves as implementing a transformative pedagogy. Go on. Now, this matrix has a number of components, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 components, each of which has different variables. And these are the components that the e-portfolio and e-badging address. Under learning, we have a number of variables being looked at. Under assessment, under the people section where we talk about the staff and the learners themselves, then the technologies themselves, and e-portfolio, the concept of e-portfolio generally, without talking about the technologies that enable the e-portfolio, and then open badging. So the tool which you have printed out has these are the sections, and it has some questions asking us some suggestions. It's kind of a rubric giving us suggestions, and we are required to go ahead. We are required to work as one group and answer this questionnaire, this survey as one group, not as individuals. So we look at the different components and agree as Makerere. Are we there in that particular section? If they talk about, for example, curriculum design, how is our curriculum as a university like? Because Professor Jessica has already talked about our readiness in terms of student-centered learning. You know, are we designing our curriculum in a student learning format or not as a university? Because this also matters a lot. Then we can know where to start from. Otherwise, we might be still very far there, and then we want to go so many miles ahead. So how do we pull ourselves from the far distance where we are to where we are supposed to go in the e-portfolio matrix? For each issue in the rubric, we are going to discuss, reach a consensus, and then provide only one answer. So the output from here will be a collectively answered web survey tool, but with a consensus as a majority, kind of majority vote. So in certain places, we will vote. We will say, I think those who think that Makerere University is here can we count and we see. Yeah. So this is the survey that we are having in front of us here.